joining me. Oh my gosh, 20 viewers. Okay, anyway, so I had to pray before I got on here because this story is like, it's a bunch of moving parts to it. And I hope, y'all already know, like when I start telling stories, I go way to the left and then I jump over here and I'm back over here. So I'm going to try. Hey everybody, thank you for joining. So I'm going to try to stay on task. Follow me the best you can. Hey Sister Rita, it's my cousin. But thank you guys for joining me. So if you do not know who I am, my name is Regan Adams with All Things Regan. And I suddenly, which appears to be suddenly, moved to Texas. So I just want to give you guys a background story about how I got here, what made me move here, and just the process. So if you watch like my very beginning video, like my announcement part that said that I moved, in November of 2019, I made a post, I'm moving to Houston. So I have been in business almost 10 years, and most of my business events, they travel to different states. And we've recently been out of the country. And I've been quite a few places. And there was a time in 2019 where I went to Dallas and Houston. So one weekend I was in Dallas, the next weekend I was in Houston. And that's basically just to kind of see what I got, you know, what I have a feel for. Dallas was cool. It was a little bit too bougie for me, a little bit more conservative than I like, even though I am conservative. And if you ask my friends, they're like, oh yeah, she's very conservative. But it was a little bit more conservative than I would like. But when I went to Houston, I was like, okay, I like this. And I don't know, it was something about Houston that just always felt like home. It felt like home. Everybody was nice. I don't know, I just like the vibe of the city. And depending on what pocket of Houston you're in, because Houston is not just like, Houston is a portion, but then there's like suburbs of Houston. It's huge. So you can, whatever vibe you're trying to feel, you can get to it. If you want conservative, if you want family, if you want hot girl summer, if you want whatever, it has pockets for you. And that's what I liked about it. And it's very, very diverse. When it came to, my daughter was not with me when I took this trip. So anyway, fast forward to the time in 2019, I was supposed to do a business event here, a women's relaxation weekend, and we were down in the Galleria area at one of the Marriott's, and very nice hotel. Started speaking to the manager, and she was like, basically going to give me all of this stuff for like little to nothing. Like I said, I've been doing business for a minute, and I had not ever received as much favor as this lady was giving me concerning my business. Like, and I finally had to ask her, because it was like unheard of numbers that she was giving me. Because had I had the event, COVID came shortly after, but had I had the event, I would have made a mint. Like, I could have still lowballed the price and made a good deal. I mean, made a lot of money. That's how good the deal was. And so I said, you know, why are you making this deal with me like this? Because I'm thinking, what's going on? And she said, here in Houston, we like to make, we like to help small businesses. And not only small businesses, you are a double minority. You are a black woman. Coming from Knoxville, Tennessee, that's not anything that when I'm doing business, or any other place for that fact, that I've ever heard that I'm a double minority and they want to help my business because I'm a double minority. And they said, all we ask of you is once we help you, then you just tell them that we helped you, because that brings business. And y'all know me, Reagan says I will tell whatever I need to tell, right? And so that always stuck with me. Also, I can't really talk about the men because at that time I married. 20. I was on my way about to get divorced, I think. The caliber of men, we'll talk about that in a whole nother situation. There's a good caliber of men here. Let me just be very clear. Kenny's stepdaddy is here. I don't know who he is. And side note, let me clean it up before somebody asks. I did not move here for a man. I've been very loosely dating. Loose. super loose. So my concentration is not on a man. Every time I had told a few people, like, I'm moving to Houston, I'm like, well, are you engaged? Did you find, is it some man? No, it is not a man. I strictly came on the sense of, you know, the business portion of it. I came on the sense of, just it felt like home, the diversity, the city is big, there's plenty of things to do. I knew I wouldn't have a problem finding a church home. I knew there was not a problem with connections. I have people that I went to college with that live here, church with. I have actually some of Boo's like family. They're not his total family, but his family members that live here. Like, I still have a pretty good tribe here, so I'm not here totally alone. I'm going to try to come and read some of the comments. Well, yeah, the man will be the bonus, but that, yeah, that's not my concentration at the time. So anyway, fast forward, that's what it was. When I did come here, we were talking divorce, but he was still incarcerated. And so when he came, my ex-husband came home from prison. He used to actually live in Houston as well, and he always talked about how he loved it. And I said, well, you know, I went to Houston and I love it too. And so I want to move there. And, you know, I expressed to him what I liked and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, I'm not going to be out for paper for another 5 years. So I was just like, dang, like, this is holding me up because, of course, you know, yes, there's a plane or whatever, but it's not fair to him to not be able to see his daughter after he's been incarcerated this whole time. Like, I want to be the fair mother. And so I had to take myself out of it. And so fast forward, he ended up passing away. His mother also passed away too, which both of them I was very close with. And even though me and Boo divorced, like, we were still cool. But they were like, I don't think I want to get into that part of it, but they both passed away. And so at that point, I was like, wow, this would free me up to, you know, move. But that kind of went in the back of my mind. Moving was not in my mind really anymore. Like, I really didn't bring it back up. So fast forward, and I don't know how I can tell this part of the story because I have to be careful. I won't tell that part. But yeah, I do. I got to tell a little bit of that. So some things started happening with my house. I had a plumbing issue. And I had it like the year before, like right after he passed away, a little bit after that time. And I got it fixed. So I thought, had the problem again a year later, but it was worse. And this was in between like my home remodel. So I'm just like, dang, if I had known I had this, I would have gotten it fixed before, you know. And anyway, fast forward, I got 3 different quotes. And one of the quotes was like, okay, it's going to be $7,000. So I'm like, okay, cool. I paid a 7. Then the next one was like, he didn't really give me a price. Then the third one went and crawled under the house and did all this, that, and the third. And he was like, this is going to be a whole full remodel. It's going to be like $100,000. And I was like, what? I don't love this house that much. And I didn't want to pull all of my equity out. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm about to sell this thing. And so this was coming into like March. And our church was having a women's conference. And I interviewed my pastor, Ashley Karaoke. And it was just something about this conference. Like, God was telling me, like, there's something, like, you're going to have a major shift when this conference comes. Like, I know there's going to be a shift. Like, I felt it. Like, something is going to happen. And so I just kept telling my pastor that, and she was like, yeah, I know. Because the last time that we had the conference, something big happened. During the conference, I found my ex-husband on the floor dead. So that was a big shift. And so I felt that there was another shift after this conference. So the conference came, it was, listen, it was crazy. The Holy Spirit fell. And let me stop right there. If you are not a believer of Jesus Christ, what I'm saying to you may not make sense. This story may not make sense to you. You may say it's a coincidence. It is not. Okay. I'm just going to tell you, because I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I am saved. This whole move is because of him. And again, if you don't follow him, believe in him, it's going to be kind of hard for you to follow what I'm going to say. But I'm going to say it anyway because it's just what it is. And so after the Holy Spirit fell, like, I've been slain in the spirit before, okay? But during this conference, like, he was sitting on me. Like, I couldn't move sitting on me. Like, if you've never experienced that, you know, and I'm going to, for some who, like, see people, like, pushing, it looks like people push you or the preacher pushes you and you fall on the floor. That's what I'm talking about. And so, you know, I've been slain in the spirit before. I know what that feels like. But during this conference, it was different. I was also prophesied over during the conference, and it was just some confirmation of some things. And so I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on, but something that happened right after the conference. God was like impressing on my spirit, clean your house out, clean your house out, get your bills together, consolidate your bills, like clean your car out, just start throwing stuff out. And it was almost like I couldn't rest. It was almost like I couldn't rest. I had to get my house clean. And what some didn't know, oh my gosh, if y'all hear that, I'm sorry. I'm in an apartment now. We're going to talk about that later. Whew, thank you, Lord, for my apartment. We'll talk about that in a minute. And if you can hear that, I'm sorry. So anyway, I was just thinking like he wouldn't let me rest because I just couldn't rest. So what happened is he told me to consolidate my bills, clean out my house. Oh, that's what I was going to say. When I was remodeling my house, I ran out of money. This was the big kicker. I ran out of money because I had an older house. I sold it. We'll talk about that later. I had an older house, and I'm not going to be able to read all the stuff, so I apologize for that. So anyway, I had an older house, and so one of the rooms, my bathroom, which is like the master bathroom, was not able to get done, and I was very upset about that. And so anyway, I ended up having a leak that, like, Kenny called me and was like, Mama, come home, because it was just stuff, poop and stuff everywhere that exploded. And I was just like, Lord. Anyway, long story short, like, everything just started happening. Like, right after the conference, stuff just started getting tossed up, literally. My homeowner's insurance canceled on me. And I'm like, what? Like, I've had y'all the whole time I've been in this house. They're like, oh, we made a mistake. You can't have this insurance. We're canceling you. Like, I couldn't even fix it. So I called them. So I was forced to get another insurance. 2 weeks after I got that insurance, mind you, I hadn't even paid for the insurance yet. This is when the explosion of poop happened. And so the guy comes, and this is when he tells me, okay, it's going to be $100,000 because you got to pull up all the floors. And I mean, he's telling me all this stuff. And I'm just like, Lord, what's going on? And so the guy who comes and looks at my house, for one, he did not charge me to look at it, which he was supposed to. He didn't charge me anything. And he said, I have a friend who can come and clean this up for you. So I'm thinking like clean, they're going to clean it up. So he was like, nah, we can't clean it up. We're going to have to pull the floors and do all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, I just got this new insurance. They're not going to pay for it. Fast forward, they ended up remodeling the bathroom for $250, which was my new deductible. And everything was just happening like this. And so after that happened, I was like, okay, come on, Jesus. Like, I ran out of money, then you're going to redo it for $250. Okay, run it. So then what happened? Oh, God is still telling me, make sure that you fill out your paperwork to get your student loans forgiven. He would not let me rest. Like, anytime I forgot it, he would remind me. Like, so I was getting everything done. So every time I got something done, it was like stuff just started moving faster and faster and faster. And then I got on Facebook, and my cousin Chris Holloway, Bishop Chris, which is Bishop Holloway. He said, God was like, look at his live. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's good, it's good. And he said, Regan, are you still on the live? And I was like, yeah. And he said, I don't know what's going on in Texas. He said, but your time in Knoxville is up. Like, it's coming to an end. But the crazy thing is, I felt like that. Like, and here was the thing that he didn't know, and which I kind of left out. Maybe like a week before I got that word. And if y'all don't know, I'm a dreamer. I have prophetic dreams. A week before that, every night God was giving me a dream of me being on like a transportation mode. Transportation, when you have, like if you're driving a car, if it's an airplane, any mode of transportation is your gift, your calling. And when you're moving, that's how you're moving forward, and it goes off into some other things, but we won't talk about that, but I just want to give you an example. And so I was having different dreams of modes of transportation where I was going fast. And so there was like jets, there were airplanes. I had dreams of trains, and where it was just crazy. And I'm like, Lord, what? Like, this is every night. And when I have repetitive dreams like that, that means it's happening soon. And so every time that I was having a dream, I would post on Facebook, because I was like, I know it's not just for me sometimes. You know, sometimes God will say, don't share things, but this was not just for me. This is a corporate word. Like, things are going to start happening quickly. Y'all need to get your finances in order. You need to clean out your house, get your paperwork together. Like, he was, conducting me to say, get this stuff together. You're going to need it. And I'm telling you, every time he was asking me to do something like get paperwork together, it was like the next day it was needed. Like, it was almost really scary. And so going back to Bishop, when he was like, I don't know what's going on in Texas, but your time in Knoxville is about up. Knoxville cannot hold what you have in you. You have to leave. Like, it's about time for you to leave. And so he called all the major cities in Texas. He said, and your name is getting kicked around in Texas. He said, prepare to leave. But this was nothing but like confirmation. So I said, but here was the thing, when I felt like God was showing me to leave, I didn't know exactly where until my cousin was telling me this. But I felt like in my obedience of me, cleaning out my house, throwing things away, getting my paperwork together, every time I made a step, then God was revealing something else. That's why I say faith without works is dead. You have to do something in order to get the other step revealed. And so I always, when I hear a word, and I don't listen to everybody when it comes to speaking over my life, I don't, because people just say whatever, but I trust him. And so I already knew that God was moving me. I just didn't know where. So once he gave me the location, he just said Texas, but it was the major cities. Now, mind you, I always wanted to move to Houston, because remember back in 2019, I said I'm moving. And so, side note, and I hope I don't forget to come back where I was. No, I'll get back to that later because I'll forget. So anyway, I took it to the Lord. The next day, I prayed. I got in the car and I said, Lord, and most of the time I talk to God how I'm talking to y'all. Lord, I know you gave a word to Bishop about me moving to Texas, but where? Where do you want me to go? I said, because you know I want to go to Houston. But it ain't about what I want, because if you have me like you want me to go to a certain place, I need you to let me know. And I said, Lord, specifically, so I'm driving at this point, I said, Lord, do you want me to go to Houston, Texas? Are you telling me to move to Houston, Texas? And right as I looked up, I saw a Texas sign go by. And that's how God kind of confirmed a lot of stuff to me. Like if he was answering me yes or no, or he was like putting in my mind when things were like looking bad, you know what I'm saying? He would always send me a sign of Texas. One of the crazy things is, so Texas is huge. I've been here a few times. It is huge. And I did not want to misstep over God or step above him because it's a big move. And so I needed to consult him with everything. Where do you want my child to go to school? Where do you want me to live? And here was another thing. So where I live, for those who don't know, quick background story, I own 2 houses. My dad left those to me when he passed away. And so I never liked the houses. I never liked the houses. But they were used as a vehicle to get me to where I'm at now. And a lot of people say, I don't know why you sold them. But for me, God is giving me a fresh start. And we'll talk about that in a second. And so, in the house that I was in, I sold my other one, but I sold this one too. In the house that I was in, like, it's cool. But if you know me for real, I've always wanted to live up here. Like, I've always wanted more. I always wanted to be more. I've always wanted to live more. I always wanted to do more. And I told God, not told him, but I was like, Lord, this is the lowest level I ever want to live again. I don't want to live in poverty, which I'm not in poverty. And the house was cool, but it was just cool for Knoxville. I don't want to have a cool for Knoxville husband. I don't want to have a cool for Knoxville child. I don't want to have a cool for Knoxville ministry. I don't want to have a cool for Knoxville life. I wanted the best. And according to God's word, we are supposed to have the best. I don't want average anything. I never have. And I remember I had an old friend. We would go, like, anytime I go and I see big houses. I grew up only child. I have 2 sisters. But I said, and we grew up on the river. Like, my house is a substantial size, especially when we were coming up, we were rich. And so, but being raised in that environment, you know, on my mama's side, I come from doctors, lawyers, preachers, and hardworking people who travel. My mother gave me experiences, so I always wanted more. Even if once Kenny graduates or whatever, I still want a big house. If it's just me, because guess what? I still have a life. I'm going to entertain people when they come over, or entertain myself. You know what I'm saying? And so I always wanted more. And I asked God, I said, Lord, when you move me, don't move me below where I'm living now. I don't even want to be at where I'm living now. Put me in an abundant area where there is wealth and money. Okay? So I'm saying, God, where you want me to live? So I'm seeking them. I'm seeking them. I'm seeking them. Lord, because I'm not moving without them. Because again, this is a huge move. I can't just willy-nilly. I mean, I could, but I'm not. So I remember finding an apartment. No, I found a house. I've lived in a house for a very long time. I've owned my own home. And the thought of me coming to an apartment, I was like, I don't want to do it. Like, I have not been in an apartment since college. No shade to anybody who has an apartment. No shade. Listen, no shade. But I have not lived in an apartment in a long time. And I did not want to come back at my big age at 43 to live in an apartment. I didn't want to do it. And so I applied, stepped up in front of Jesus. I did, because he didn't say a house, right? He wanted me to come to an apartment. And I was just like, I don't want to. But one thing that I remember, God gave me a word back when COVID started. He said it was a slingshot season. And what slingshot season is, that he was pulling us back to thrust us forward. But here's the thing, with the apartment, they were asking for all this information that I just didn't want to give, didn't want to fool with it. And then the time was coming up, and I was like, I gotta find somewhere to live, because this time is like coming up. My house is about to be on sale. Like, I need to have my stuff in a row. And so, I was like, Lord, I felt like I needed to come here because my daughter hadn't been here. I've been here, but she hadn't. And I was like, Lord, do I need to go to Texas and go find a place? And then that's when I saw the Texas sign. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we came, and I found this apartment, the one that I'm in now. And I was like, this ticket on here, Jesus, now listen. This ticket on, now listen, this is about 3 times more than the mortgage I was paying than Jesus. Now what? And he said, but what did you ask me though? Listen, y'all better hear what I'm saying. What did you ask me? What did you ask me? You asked to be around money. You asked to be around money. You asked to be around wealth. So don't go looking crazy when it's presented, because if I led you to it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to pay for it. Okay. So, I wanted to confirm, the area. I wanted to confirm the area. And let me tell y'all, y'all know I DoorDash. And I went to McDonald's on Clinton Highway. And there was an older gentleman and a younger fella talking. And so the older gentleman was like, so, where are you from? And the guy says, I'm from Texas. Listen, side note, God gave me something about Texas every day. When things were looking bad, like they didn't make sense, or they was looking crazy, there was not a day, like God did not let me take my eye off the prize. He just didn't. He didn't let me take my eye off the prize. You're going to Texas. I don't care what it looks like. He gave me a reminder every day, 4, 5, 10 times a day. Back to the story. So I'm DoorDashing, waiting on my food. Not my food, but the customer's food. And so the older gentleman said to the younger gentleman, because still I'm asking God, okay, I think this is where I'm supposed to go, but I need you to confirm. So the older gentleman said, okay, where are you from? So the boy was like, Texas. So I'm like, okay, here we go, God, because here we go with the confirmation again. And so he said the older gentleman couldn't hear, or he couldn't remember. So he asked the guy, so where are you from? And the guy, I'm not going to tell you what part of the area I'm in, because y'all know, so y'all just know it's Houston. But he named the specific suburb that I'm in. He said, I'm from blank, Texas. And I was like, Jesus, really? Because how can, like, yeah, Texas is broad, but how are we in Knoxville? And Lord, I'm asking you, where exactly do you want me to live? And you sent this young man, and he's saying the exact place that I live now, right? So fast forward, we come here, I see the apartment, I'm like, this is nice. And it's bigger than I have an extra bedroom, but it's larger than the house I was in. And it's a luxury apartment. Like, even going back to the slingshot season, great form of fashion. And it's 10 minutes from Kenny's school. I'm located near everything. If I don't want to go into the city of Houston, I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? And so Kenny is in a great school system. And let me tell you how he told me about her school. Y'all, listen, if y'all don't believe God is real, I'm trying to tell you, trust him. Ask him. Y'all, ain't nobody mad with the devil, but guess what? We are back. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh, when it was time for me to bring, Kenny here, and we saw the apartment, and I was just like, oh, Jesus, this is nice. And Kenny was all about it, like, Mom, I don't want to live in an apartment. But when I brought her, she was like, I don't know, Mama, this might be it. Like, it was, the crazy thing is, it was everything that I had asked God for, but instead of in a house, it was in an apartment. And I was just like, I don't know. But anyway, long story short, going back to the house when it was time for the house to sell, I was like, Lord, who, like, it's got this stuff going on with it. Who's about to pay for this house? Like, who? And he was like, let me show you. Long story short, like, I waited a little bit because the market is a little bit different. But baby, listen, the house sold cash. They waived looking at doing an inspection. It closed out in a month, and it closed out on the day it was supposed to close out. I got the money pretty much that I was asking for. Like, everything just lined up. But the crazy thing is, when God told me he was going to move me in August, I did not believe him. I'm going to be honest, because 4 months, that's a lot. That's a big move in 4 months, right? And I was like, well, maybe it's going to be September. No, it was August. It was August. So let me see, am I leaving something out? Because it seems like, sold the house. Sold the house. Oh, we came here. We loved it. I took Kenny to, Kenny's school. So I had asked God about her school, because that was always my prayer. Like, Lord, if you elevate me, I need you to elevate my daughter, right? And I know what she loves. Like, she loves to cook. Y'all know that. She cooks. She likes gardening. She likes business. She likes, what else does she like? Fashion stuff, like fashion merchandising. And God was telling me, go to YouTube and watch videos on people who moved to Texas. And I was like, okay. So I was just watching videos, and then he told me, look down. Thanks, Sister Lorinda. Mordecai. He told me to look down during one of the videos. And then when I looked down, it was the name of a school. But I was like, why is this name of this? It was a graduation going on, like a live graduation. And I was like, why is this video in this, like, scroll of the video? And God was like, look it up. So I looked it up. Y'all, when I say it has her cooking classes, when I say it has business classes, it has fashion merchandising classes, it has social media classes, it has it's got everything. Like, I couldn't pick this school out if I researched it myself. I just could not. And it is one of the best schools in this area. Well, it's the #1 in the area that I'm in. I couldn't have picked it out better myself. And then for God to have it 10 minutes away from where I live, and I'm just like, So, what happened? So we got the school stuff, got everything in order. Oh gosh, I should have done some like bullet points because I don't want to leave anything out. Kenny's school, the household. So it was time to go. Now I was going to have to move home with my mama. And I did not want to do that. And you know, once you're grown and gone, it's kind of hard to go back to your parents' house. It really, really is. And I was like, well, she's married and she has, you know, a stepdaughter. And then I got me and my daughter, and I'm just like, I don't want to go over here. Like, and not that my mom is bad or she's nosy or anything. She's cool. You know, her husband cool. I don't have no problem. But it was hard. And one thing that my ex-husband spoiled me on and that I'm used to now are very good mattresses. Our mattresses are very expensive. And I'm not just trying to throw that out there. I like to sleep good. And so going from being on my mattress to being in my mom's on her couch for a week, listen to me, my sleep was terrible. I'm just gonna be honest. And the time came, and you know, the time was winding down, and I went to apply. Oh, let me tell you about my job. So yeah, for those who don't know, I was working with the state for over 15 years. It would have been 16 years in November. And I did not like that job, but I learned a lot from that job. What I learned is how to deal with people, all walks of life, of how to deal with people, and to be considerate of people. I learned a lot of other things, but we're going to leave that alone. But it was good for what I needed it for. And it was also good because I needed it to forgive my student loans. And let me tell y'all about that. So, when I had applied for this apartment, I was at 90% debt to ratio because my income, which is way down here, and my student loan was way up here. My debt to ratio was crazy. But what I didn't know is when I applied for this apartment, it had been forgiven, and I didn't know that. So it went from 90 to 5%, which is crazy. So anyway, so got in the apartment quick. So I'm trying to tell them like, okay, I'm gonna move in September. They were like, nah, because it's a high volume area. And so they're like, nah, you got to move. You got to move soon. So now I'm like, what am I gonna do with my job? Like I had applied to work, you know, I had applied to work AWS, which is at home, just out of state. They never responded to me. And it's like been over a month because I knew I was moving, but I wanted to take my job with me. And they never responded. And I just thought like, man, I've been door dashing for like since April, which let me go back to that. My homegirl Keisha, when I went to visit her in not St. Thomas, am I going there next? St. Louis. She was talking to me like, and I believe that was a God thing. Like she was talking to me about people being afraid to work menial jobs. And so like people think like door dashing is, you know, above them or whatever, but it helped her out during the COVID season because they own a moving business, and of course none of that was going on, and bills still coming in. So she was like, yeah, I made a good deal of money that way. And then my other homegirl was like, yeah, I've been doing it on the side, but I ain't really been taking it serious. So in my mind, I was like, well, when I get back, I'm gonna run it and see what I can do with it. Listen to me. What I noticed, and I really, okay, let me just don't get ahead of myself. So when I say I was hitting DoorDash like crazy, and it became very addictive, I'm going to be honest, because for one, I like to drive. I get my downloads from God. I like to listen to music. Like I love to drive. I can be in the car quiet, or I can listen to music and drive. And that was perfect for me. And we going to hit these food spots. Okay, y'all know I got Phatgirlfoodienista, right? I'm going to show you how this about to tie in. Y'all, God is so good to me. So the money was getting very addictive. Like every time, like it was almost like I was racing against myself to get this money. But what I noticed, and I was only working part-time, is that I was making more money than my actual check that I'm working full-time and more hours. That didn't make no sense to me. But it made sense to me when it came time for me to quit, because God was like, I need you just to sit down and look at your situation. Look at your situation. And this is how I was determined to be able to let my job go. Number one, I was not happy. Number one, there was no growth in the company. And even if it was, I didn't want to do it. I was doing a very mediocre job at best. I was really just showing up, to be honest, to get a paycheck. Listen, when I say God set this thing up, once I learned about my student loan being forgiven, because I thought I had to keep my job at first to be able to continue with the job, right? Now I don't have to keep my job because guess what? My student loans are forgiven, right? And then, Regan, look, you make more money working less hours for DoorDash. So what can you do when you go to Houston, Regan? You can quit your job, Regan. You can do what you like to do, Regan. Drive. And it's temporary. Nobody say I'm going to DoorDash forever. But guess what? I make twice as much money. Twice. And I've been at this job. I have a college degree. I've been at this job almost 16 years. How is it, which is very sad for the state, how is it that I can drive less and make more? DoorDashing, working no weekends. But that's a good thing. God was like, that's a good thing, Regan. Because when you come to Texas, guess what you can do? You can still have your time available to work on your business. You have time to be able to network for your business, network within the city. You have time to take your daughter to school because guess what? Their hours are crazy. She's got like pre-K hours for high school. She gets out at 2:45. So you can take her to school. You can pick her up. And you're free to have your time. And you can work as much or as little as you want to. And guess what? You got a little cushion money over here too. So really, what are we talking about? And I was like, oh, Jesus, this sounds good. Like, you're going to set this thing up. Like, literally set it up. So you mean to tell me, Lord, when I sat still, I was like, he really gave me a fresh start. Because I was telling somebody the other day, and this is not to shame my ex-husband, you know, for the most part, he was a good dude. I don't really have anything bad to say about him, and we had our situations, but there was absolutely no way, divorced or not, that he was going to let me date and go on with my life. It probably would have eventually happened, but, I mean, he told me there's no way, and actually, I wanted to move before he got off of paper anyway, because I didn't want him to do the pop-ups and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it was like God literally, and then I don't have to worry. Not that he was a good daddy, so I'm not saying that, but I don't have to worry about the baby daddy situation when I'm dating or I get married. You know what I'm saying? I can kind of move how I want to. I don't have to be things don't have to be dictated from, how I'm taking care of my daughter, or, even with my mother-in-law, it was kind of like the same thing. Like, she was my second husband, to be honest. And both of them are now gone. So now we've got that out of the way, and I'm not trying to discredit that, but we got that out of the way. I'm now debt-free. I get a chance to start over. And how many people get a chance to do that? And so I was telling people a while ago, like, it's a season for that. Like, it's a season for that. And some people be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you DoorDashing. Let me be very clear. There is good money in DoorDashing. And it's a lot more than what I was making. And I can DoorDash Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. Monday through Friday, 8 to 3, no weekends, and still pay my rent and still have plenty of living money and do what I need to do until I feel like getting a job, or if I want to get one. Because I really feel like God is going to open the door for me to be able to do my business stuff. Like, even when I was driving down the road, like, the crazy thing is I drove the whole 14 and a half hours here straight, which I never thought I would do. Let me be very clear. But we were on like a back road the whole time. There was not even a way for me to turn off. And I think that was the God thing, but I don't want to be super spiritual. But he talked to me like the stuff. It's like I get to start over with my business, but not really start over, but revamp some things. And then I don't have to worry about being in a city. And I love Knoxville. That's where I'm born and raised. So I don't want to down talk anybody. But for me doing Dating is Dead showed me a lot about my market. So, and I remember God telling me this a while ago, like with Dating is Dead, Who Killed It? If I had the event twice, I had it several times because, I had to build it up. But once I had it, the last 2 times they sold out. And what God showed me is if you can sell this event out here, what do you think you're going to do when you take it to Houston? Listen. And then not even only that, like my women's events. And he was bringing stuff back to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, Lord, I didn't even think about this. And y'all, I want to do this tomorrow, but I'm going to actually go ahead and touch on this real quick. So God was dealing with me about rest. I don't know how to rest. I don't. If I'm not moving, my brain is moving. So I didn't even really get a nap to chill before I came on here and talked to y'all. I was praying like, Lord, just don't let me sound crazy. But God was dealing with me about rest. So when I quit my job, I was at 15 years. Okay. When I went and sat in the car after I quit, God said, look in the number at the number 15. The number 15 was the number of rest. This is biblical number. I don't look at astrology. Biblical number 15 means to rest. And that's what God had given the people after he delivered them from Egypt. Egypt was my job. Y'all better hear what I'm saying. Everything is prophetic. That's what my pastor Evans Karaoke says. But the number 15, because that was 15 years that I was at my job, once I left Egypt, my job, then I go to enter into rest. And God said, Regan, I need you to rest now. You don't have to work so hard. You don't have to DoorDash so hard. You can chill right now. You got a little cushion. Enjoy what I'm showing you coming down this road. Enjoy the scenery. Enjoy the time with your daughter. Enjoy just the air. Enjoy life. Start resting. You don't have to push so hard. And it was crazy because during this whole like process, especially like when it came toward the end, I was extremely like where I couldn't even hold my eyes open, just exhausted. And I couldn't understand. And I was just like, when it came to, a friend of mine, thank you to her. Well, she helped me with hotel rooms and let me use her discount. And I was able to get some sleep the night before. So I went and got a hotel room. And I was like, Lord, I got to make sure I get some sleep because I know I'm driving the next day. So I got up early, which I do anyway. But I went and prayed. And I went to the bathroom and I went to wake Kenny up. And I said, Lord, why am I so tired? Like I've never, like this was like day to day to day. I was physically exhausted. And I said, Lord, why am I tired? And then I went into the spirit. And he said, it's spiritual warfare. And I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. So I start looking up stuff on spiritual warfare and being tired. And what it is we start doing things in our own strength and we don't let God do it. And I was like, ooh, that's me. And then when you look at it, like also going back to rest, like how many mothers, how many women, especially mothers, we just go and just stop and think. Like God was having me go through all this stuff, like stop and think, how many years have you been working a job? I'm 43. I've been working since I was 14. That's a lot of years. And I've only been without a job for 3 months out of my whole time working. So then you mean to tell me I'm working all this time? I got a daughter. I had a husband. All I'm doing is just going. I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just going. And I'm just going. And I'm just going. And I haven't stopped. And I haven't really even rested. Right? So when you're tired, you don't even hear from God like you're supposed to. Huh? He can't talk to you because you're tired. You're worn out. And guess what? The enemy wants you to. You talking about reading the Bible, who I'm going to bed. I'm not doing this. You talking about listening to the sermon. I'm not doing that. I'm tired. I was exhausted because I didn't take time to rest. And then we pray and say, Lord, I need you to help me. But he's saying, how? Because you're trying to do everything yourself. Oh. We don't think about that, though. That's the crazy thing. That's what he was dealing with me on the road about. We don't think about, we just go and we just go and we just go. And we don't stop and say, Lord, here. Or, you know what? I ain't got to do all of this today. I don't got to do all of this. Like today, how my house is, like I want to have it all decorated, smelling good, looking good. I want all of that done today. But guess what? I was doing nothing but frustrate myself. I went to IKEA and I was just like, I'm going to go get all this stuff. Nope. Because guess what? I'm not going to be spending money on stuff that I don't really want. Even though this is temporary, because God already told me you're not going to be here that long. You'll be here for a year, and you're going to go buy some properties. That's the plan. Make it look nice, but you don't have to do everything in a day. Rest. Sit down. Rest. You can get that tomorrow. Rest. Then he started dealing with me about what he gave me a long time ago. So for those who don't know, I had a candle line. That was one of the things that sustained me while while Boo was gone to prison. So I made candles. He gave me rest with the eyes closed. Guess what rest means? It's the acronym for releasing everything starting today. Release it. Release it. Release it. Ladies, I'm talking to the ladies, you can't do everything. You can't. You can't. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. We have got to make time to shut it down. We got to make time to shut it down. I'm going to even go back as far as to say when God first started dealing with me about my first business, my very first business, I got my own room and I shut in with Jesus. Like I got my Bible, I was praying, he was downloading to me, and he told me, put in me first. That was my first event, put in me first, because I wasn't doing that. And, we'll talk later about that, but we've got to do two things: rest, and then we also need to make sure that we are working in the purpose that God called us to work in. We put our husbands first, we put our children first. This is going to always be my message. Well, not my message, it's his, but it's coming through me. Like, we always make time to put everybody in front of us. When you were born, you had your own thing, your own gifts that God gave you. Why are you not moving in those? But we're moving for everything else. We're moving for our kids. We're moving for our husbands. We're moving for our boyfriends. We're moving for our jobs. And so, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, moving was easy. I got the U-Haul, cubes. They came and got the stuff. They got it. They flew it over here. It was not super cheap, but it was a lot cheaper. I was quoted like $10,000 to have it driven here. It was nowhere near that. Like God he's shown me just great favor, pertaining to this. Am I leaving something out? I don't know if Mordecai's on here. I have not read any of y'all stuff. I'm sorry. But I'm happy. Like, I'm super happy with where God has led me. There's a lot of people that inboxed me today. People have called me crying. Like, it's been crazy. I didn't think it was going to be all of this. I mean, I knew it was going to be some of this. But we have some people who think, I can't move. I can't. And I'm not trying to say everybody needs to move out of Knoxville or everybody needs to move wherever they're going to. But I'm going to be very honest. Going back to what I said, because I have Dating is Dead Who Killed It, Knoxville, especially for Black people, my heart is for Black love. My heart is for Black relationships, Black marriages. I love love. I love relationships. And I think that can work as long as we make sure that we do it correctly. And we can continue to, have these conversations, but without a mediator, a help person, because we need to heal from trauma. Right. And so I knew that when I saw it pop off in Knoxville, I knew that it would be better in a bigger city and it would be well received. And if I say the ticket is $50 or the ticket is $65, they're not going to cough at that. They're not going to be like, oh my gosh, it's too much money. That's too much money. I wouldn't have to hear that. I'm not going to say I don't have to worry about the crab in the barrel, but I don't have to worry about like low key being blocked from stuff. You know what I'm saying? No, like if I have these resources, I'm not going to share them because I don't want to share them. I want to hoard them to myself. And here's the thing, and I don't want to say this to sound conceited, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it, and how it roll is how it roll. So I remember when I was talking to my pastor, this is when I first met him, a little bit after our other pastor, James Davis, died. I met with him and he said, you have a global anointing. And I was like, really? And he really spoke into me who I am. He told me who I was. And then I had to go and seek God, for the rest of the answer, that I'm a visionary and that I'm global. And so while Knoxville was a great training ground, I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more. I'm ready to be trained to do other things. I'm ready to meet more people. And I just felt suffocated in Knoxville, seeing the same people, going to the same places. I just felt suffocated, and I always wanted more. I just don't want a mediocre life. I don't even want to look like I'm doing good. Like, I want to be doing good. You know what I'm saying? What did you say, Luan? I'm so happy for you. I always said your vision was too big for Knoxville. I love seeing monetary increase, like-minded friends in your path. My family and friends that live there are all making major business moves. Absolutely. And I just, you know, not like I said, Knoxville is cool, but I just want more. And I felt uncomfortable, almost. I felt uncomfortable in the space. And then, listen, side note, when God really sat me down and showed me like the whole situation, like even with my Phatgirlfoodienista, Houston is full. Listen, oh my gosh, it's full of food. It's full of food field trips. It's full. Listen, I don't gotta go nowhere really. I have to go down the street. I just go down the street. Like, this place can be effortless. You know what I'm saying? And so even if you don't move here, if you move anywhere, like if you have an unction to move, like if God is leading you or opening the door for you to be able to do it, I'm going to be very clear. It's not going to be comfortable. This was like, I used to consider myself like a faith girl. Like, oh yeah, I got the faith. I believe in God. He can do anything. Listen, this move tested my faith. Do you understand me? Because I didn't know if I was going to get approved for this apartment because it's expensive. It is very expensive. And then the girl was like, yeah, you got it. Like, I told you a long time ago, you got, was like, but y'all was taking y'all time with the house, God. I told you was going to get the house. Like, I was feeling like I was in the unknown. I went quiet with a lot of my friends. I only had a couple of like close, like spiritual friends. Like, if you wasn't talking to God on a deep level, I didn't fool with you, because not like that, but I'm just saying, like, it was only so much I was going to share, because God was like doing a new thing in me. He was giving me these dreams. He was, you know, exposing me to different things. Like, I just didn't know. And like, my faith was so tested, and I was so uncomfortable. And also going back to what I was saying about not wanting to go to my mama's house. And like I said, no slight to her, but I believe God needed me. Oh, I'm going to touch back on that. They called us to go back to work in August. Okay. And we have to go for 1 day a week, which I thought was stupid. We didn't see clients. We have been working at home for 2 years. Even when we go in, we don't see clients, right? I thought that was so stupid. And so, went to work that 1 day, and I went in my car, and I called my homegirl, and I was just like, I got to get out of here. Like, I didn't have another alternative. I didn't have nothing, but I was like, I got to get out of here. And I just cried, because I was like, Lord, how could I stay in a place that's so, like, not beneath me, but I felt like it at the time. Like, and I say beneath me in the sense that, you know, once you walk with God for a certain period of time, it's like he starts elevating you spiritually. So some things that you used to like, you don't, or could deal with and be comfortable in, you're not going to continue to be comfortable in that area anymore. And so when I got back, I really felt like God was saying, let me show you something. So when I need you to quit, you'll be able to quit and not look back. And I went in the car and cried, and I called my homegirl. I was like, hey man, I got to get out of here. Like, God did not call me to live this life here. Like, it's like a cemetery. When I went back, I saw these, you know, the same people doing the same thing, which is cool. Like, it's cool if that's what you want to do. No slight to them. But I always just wanted more. I always want more for the people that are around me. I want more. And I didn't want to continue just to kind of just exist. And so I called her. I was like, hey man, I don't know what I got to do, but I got to get out of here. And I filled out the paperwork and tried to do all that, and nothing was going through. And I believe God just wanted me to let it go anyway. Then I had to go to my mama's, and I was like, man, I don't want to go to my mama's. But I believe he needed me to be uncomfortable again, because when I tell you to leave Knoxville, I don't want you to turn into a pillar of salt. Lot's wife. Don't look back. When I take you from here, don't look back. Keep going. Just keep going. Don't look back. Don't look back. And I just believe, like, the people who are called to Knoxville are called to Knoxville. Again, no slight. But there are a lot of us there, a lot of people there, that God has a huge anointing on your life, and you are too big for Knoxville, or you're too big for the city that you're in. You're just too big for it. And I know some people got to come to the city to try to, you know, sauce it up a little bit. But for me, the mindset there, it's a no for me. Like, it's a no for me. It is a no for me. It's a no for me. Because, like, the mentality, people who, I don't know, like, I don't want to get into all of that, but it's just, I had to go. Like, I had to go. And God gave me a direct out. He really, really did. And the thing is, I had to make the first step. And once he revealed where he wanted me to go, and I consulted with him, like, he literally kicked the door down for me. And he got me here in 4 months with, like, a smooth, listen, when I say smooth transition, I mean smooth transition. Like, the day things were supposed to happen, they happened. Everything happened according to the way it needed to happen. Everything. And so, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, this is the best decision for me right now. I don't know what God has for me, but I know it's great things. Just because even the opposition that I've come up against since I moved, like, people saying stuff, and I'm just like, it's a distraction. Like, God was showing me these distractions anyway. Like, we can't put our focus on that. You know, people are going to talk about you. And if you're not ready to be talked about, you're not ready to elevate. But that's one thing that bothers me. And God is like, Regan, you have to get over that. Like, you are legit going to have to get over people talking about you. Because what I don't understand is, I like to see people move and shake. Matter of fact, if I can help you move and shake, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But guess what? I'm not going to hate on you. For what? Because there's room for everybody. And that's another reason I didn't start my businesses out in Knoxville. I started them in Atlanta. I went everywhere around Knoxville because I didn't feel like I was going to be supported. But one thing I would never do is cry about it. You know, Knoxville, if you don't want to support me, cool. I'm going to go down the street to Chicago, or I'm going to go down the street to LA, or I'm going to go down the street to Vegas. Long story short, I've done events in all the big cities for the most part. I'm not going to cry about it. But one thing I want to be able to do is come to a city where I don't have to always travel to do events. And Texas is huge. It's huge. It's not just Houston. It's huge. It's big. I can reach a multitude of people, right? So anyway, I hope I encouraged somebody. I hope I did not leave nothing out. Did y'all have any questions? If y'all have any, like, personal questions, or y'all want to talk to me, feel free to inbox me. Don't inbox me no love letters. Listen, I don't want no 10-paragraph papers in my inbox. Just call me. My phone line is open, 865-235-9885. 865-235-9885. Y'all can call me. Please don't inbox me no book, because I don't want to do all that. Okay? But I'll be more than happy to talk to y'all. But one thing I'm super excited about is being on my own time. Like, yeah, God finna do a new thing. Y'all also look out for events. I'm not going to tell you what God gave to me, but it was something that I posted on my Facebook. He told me to go back. I think it might have been a year or two ago. And I was like, oh, yes, Lord. So, y'all, I'm going to be working on my own time. I'm going to be, you know, doing the things that God brought back to my remembrance. Make sure that you are resting in Him, releasing the rest of things, listening for Him, you know, if He wants to move you. Maybe it's not physically, maybe it's spiritually to another level. Please also watch your circle of friends. Please, 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 please watch your circle of friends. My friends, for the most part, were very supportive, very supportive. I had some a little bit more, like I said, on the spiritual level that I leaned on a little bit more in this season, only because God was really, really dealing with me in my dreams and showing me things, and I needed guidance that way. I thank you know, Bishop Chris Holloway and Serena Holloway, Lorinda Slade, Edana Blocker, Brother Blocker, Kendra Eskew, like Crystal, like all my homegirls, like they just really help. And having a support system is very, very important. Reagan, I'm so happy for you. Thank you for your good word. You're welcome. But yeah, rest is on like the menu. Like I'm going to be dealing with rest a lot. I'm going to be dealing with rest and trusting. Also learning how to trust what God showed you the first time. But that also comes with trusting yourself too. And that's a whole nother situation. So this week I'm going to be talking about rest. And I'm going to be helping myself as I help you, because we really have to do a better job with not moving around so much and just chilling and resting our brains. So we'll talk about that probably tomorrow. And I kind of hit on it already. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm trying to make sure I didn't leave anything out. I'm just happy. Like I'm super duper happy. My next announcement will be that I'm getting engaged or I'm getting married. I'm laughing, but I'm for real, because he's coming. He's coming quickly, too. Does anybody have any questions, cares, or concerns? No? All right, y'all. Well, I'm about to chill out and rest for real, because I'm tired. But it's been a great journey. I would not change anything. Like, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. It was uncomfortable, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad, you know, glad God. Oh, my visit to church. Oh, yes. So I don't know if y'all follow Pastor Keon Henderson of the Lighthouse Ministries. He just recently married Shani O'Neal. That is the church that I'm going to. Listen to me. Listen to me. Are you listening? The church, let me see, I don't even know how to explain it. So it's like, I didn't feel like a visitor. I did not feel like a visitor. I felt like comfortable. If you have not listened to him, please do. Pastor Keon Henderson. Our Holy Spirit just told me to remind you guys about the cost of living here. We'll talk about that here in a second. But when I went to church, that's when I brought Kenny with me. And mind you, God had shown me Pastor Keon a while ago. Like, he started coming up on my news feed maybe like 6 months ago. And I was like, who is this ninja? Like, man, he's good. Like, because I like flat-footed, like flat-out truth preaching and make it applicable to the word of God. That's what I like. And so, or applicable to the word. I mean, the word will be applicable to your everyday life. That's what I like. And he was just like, it wasn't no fake, phony stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, when I found out he was from Houston, this is right after God told me to move. I was like, okay, Lord, this is the church you want me to go to? Okay. So when we came, I was like, well, they having a service that night, Sunday night. And, you know, my flight was Monday. I said, let me go. Man, that church is huge, number one. And I was kind of nervous about it because, like, the church I come from is a big church. But this was like big, like mega church. And, you know, sometimes with mega churches, you don't want to get lost in the theatrics of a thing, right? And just lost in the church, period. And so I was just like, let me go to the service and see. Man, listen, I didn't feel like a visitor. And his preaching is almost like he's a small preacher, like a small storefront preacher. That's what one of those anointings. And I was like, man, this is really, really good. So Kenny, when we left, she was like, and that's one of the other things, I didn't want to force her, even though she's coming with me. I didn't want to force her to feel like you're going to like this move. And I had prayed to God. I said, Lord, just show my daughter, you know, what you need her to see concerning this move. And so when she left the church, she said exactly what I just said, like, Mama, like, I didn't feel like a visitor. She said, I like this church. Like, I like it. She said, and I'm going to be working in the church. And I was like, okay. And then she got quiet. And she said, Mama, God is going to do something really big for us in this city. And I said, he absolutely is. So, you know, he talked to her about that. What else was I going to say? The cost of living here is actually lower than Knoxville. So I know I said that the apartment that I'm in is a lot more expensive than my mortgage, which, you know, it is. However, the type of apartment that I'm in, because I'm in a gated community, would probably be like super duper expensive and not. So probably about $3,500 a month. I'm not paying anywhere near that. And I did the comps on it. And especially in the area that I'm in. But side note, and stepping back to where I told God that I wanted to be in a good area, the median income range here in the area that I'm in is $450,000. So I told God I want to be around influential people. I want to be around money. I want to be around, you know, period, just money, so I can make connections. And he put me smack dab in the middle of it. So he's like, since I put you in it, don't be scared. Like, don't be scared now, Regan. So I'm like, okay. But the cost of living here is lower. You can still get an apartment here for $600 now. Is it gonna look like something? Depends on where you go. But they're more separated here by like class and not race. Really, it's not a. It's a melting pot, so everybody's kind of used to everybody, but it's separated by money. So if you have, you know, it's like lower, then like mid, and then mid, and then like high. Like, it's kind of separate that way, which I actually like, to be honest. Now, I don't like it, but it gives you room to grow, and that's what I like about it. So if you come here and it's like, you know, I really don't have a lot of money, I can still move here and be able to, you know, grow. Also, the jobs here are ridiculous. So if and when I want to find a job, it will be no problem. And the pay here is, whether you have a degree or not. If you got a degree, you really gonna make some bread here. Side note, you will definitely. But like I said, the cost, their taxes are lower too. They don't have a state tax. To me, it's just a great place to start over. I don't know what else to say other than I'm happy. And if God is pulling on your heart to move, do it. He'll make a way. Ask him to make a way. And I'm going to be honest again, it's not going to always feel comfortable. You're going to have to let go of some things. Like, I let go of my job. Let me be very clear. You could have never told me I would have quit my job of 15 years. Never. And not have another one. Never. Yeah, I got some cushion money, but I don't like to feel like I'm at the end of anything. You know what I'm saying? And once I quit, I was relieved. And when I left, a lot of people almost like when you get out of prison, like, oh my gosh, you made it out. And that's sad. It's sad. But I know God has a plan for my life, and I'm excited to even come and tell you guys this testimony, because not only I'm happy for me, but I'm happy that other people can see that it's possible to move away. And this is a big move, but when God is in it, like, it was so effort. The cost of living is not less. Yes, it is. Yeah, well, the comps that I looked at, it is, especially this apartment. Houses here, you can still get condos for $77,000, depending on what area you're in, that look great. 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses. Like, I did some comps on it, and I don't know. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree. But I know I'm a researcher by nature on my end. And the apartment that I'm in compared to like a Turkey Creek is twice as much is what I'm paying now. And especially, like I said, with buying houses. Because me and my friend looked at it, and she was like, why are these houses so cheap? And I was like, that's what I was saying. So real estate here for me, I'm excited about it. Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. But going back to what I was saying, it's going to be sometimes uncomfortable, and you're going to have to let some things go. You know, relatively speaking, it's the area. Yeah. But I know I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to get into real estate. Not get into it. I ain't selling no real estate, but to purchase real estate when I'm ready. But it's going to be some, what'd you say, Ariel? You definitely get your, it is. It's a lot of money, getting your money's worth. Because like even what I sold my house for, and then coming here and seeing a house that what I got paid for my house is 10 times better than the house I was in. And I was like, oh, okay. But I ain't mad at it. So I agree with you, Ariel. But going back to what I was saying, you know, you have to learn to be, let some things go. Like, let some things go that maybe you are accustomed to holding on to, right? Some things that you've had for a long time. And that job was one of them. But it was the best decision I could have ever made. I'm going to be honest. So anyway, I think that's it. And I'm going to bed. I'm an hour behind y'all. But I'm still going to bed. Maybe. You guys have a blessed night. Again, if you have any questions, inbox me. But don't send me no long story. Just call me 865-235.